Two deadly fires.
5 months apart. 40 lives lost. In one building, fire inspectors never set foot. In the other, they failed to follow up on known hazards.
Why did it still have people in it if it wasn't up to code?
It's very troubling, and I think it begs the question really as to why is this happening?
While these tragedies exposed major problems in Oakland, a Bay Area News Group investigation found systemic failures in fire inspections across the region. State law mandates annual fire safety inspections of apartment buildings and K-12 schools. But our investigation of 11 of the largest Bay Area fire departments found they aren't doing the job. Last year, they failed to show up at 30% of schools and missed more than 4,000 apartment buildings.
If your job is to check buildings and do inspections, why are buildings going uninspected?
Kacey Smith's mother, Cassandra Robertson, was one of 4 people killed in an early morning fire at a halfway house on Oakland's San Pablo Avenue. The building had long had a spotty inspection record.
She was a very outgoing, fun, loving, caring, always trying to figure out if you were okay before she was okay type of person. Nobody should have even been there. You see what happened. There's always going to be a price to pay for something that you do wrong, but it seems like they do something wrong and they're just, oh, whoops, oopsies.
60 years ago, a deadly Chicago school fire claimed the lives of 92 children and 3 nuns trapped inside a 2-story schoolhouse. The horrific tragedy gave birth to modern safety codes. Now, inspectors across the country check everything from fire alarms to escape routes. They make sure exits aren't blocked or prone to catching fire. Contra Costa County Fire Marshal Robert Marshall knows the dangers are real. He carries a grim photograph taken early in his career from an apartment fire that killed a 3-year-old boy.
I actually give the pictures of this to my inspectors so that they can talk about doors and why it's important that they close.
The boy and his family died when a faulty fire door allowed smoke to fill a hallway during their escape.
And they actually perished because of a fire code violation that we knew about, that we had written up, that we were due literally the next day. We were due to go back and do the reinspection on that building.
The haunting image sticks with him 2 decades later.
It is the outline on the ground of the soot marks around where the child's body were. I will never forget showing up to that fire. They were wheeling the 3-year-old down and putting the 3-year-old in the ambulance.
We spent months gathering thousands of records, building a database to look at the frequency of fire inspections. We found schools and apartment buildings that had not been checked for years. We found fire hazards like piles of trash and wood stacked under stairways and exposed wood in carport ceilings. The numbers were startling. Nearly 1/4 of the 17,000 apartment buildings weren't inspected in 2017. More than 2,000 apartments went at least 3 years between inspections. 96% of schools went more than a year without an inspection at least once.
I do know there have been a lot of mandated inspections we haven't been able to get to.
Is that acceptable?
Well, let me offer this, sir. As you know, and as everyone else in the area knows, we have found ourselves in a situation where we couldn't complete a lot of the mandated inspections over the years because of lack of staffing, and we're working to correct that.
Oakland residents like Eric Lingen are tired of excuses. His apartment building went uninspected for at least 6 years. When the inspector finally came, they failed to write up a blocked exit in his daughter's bedroom.
This is crazy. You're here to inspect my place to make sure it's safe. And there's a law that says my bedroom bars have to be able to be open, and you're not willing to check and try and open them and cite it? I mean, I'm thinking, what are you here for? I mean, I've got 2 daughters and wife, myself. I mean, it's not negotiable, but it's a death trap when they have bars that don't open.
In 2017, a year after the Ghost Ship fire, Oakland failed to inspect more than 70% of its apartment buildings. And our investigation found fire departments across the Bay Area weren't doing much better. Last year, Redwood City failed to inspect nearly 80% of its schools. And in Contra Costa County, our investigation uncovered just how incomplete the department's inspection records are.
Did you know that it was this problematic?
Not this bad, no. I mean, I suspected that there were probably some issues. We've got a number of occupancies that are listed in our database that don't have an occupancy classification at all. Do they exist? Do they not exist?
Is it a systematic failure?
It is, but I don't think that we're alone in that systematic failure.
The problem likely extends far beyond the Bay Area. California's fire marshal does nothing to ensure inspections are done on time, or at all.
Is it okay from your perspective if the department can't say get to all the apartments or schools within 365 days?
Yeah, it's not my place to say that it's okay or not okay. It is my place to say what the law requires. The law is the law.
We passed the laws requiring these inspections on a regular basis to protect the public, and they're not being conducted. So maybe more oversight is necessary, and maybe the state needs to get involved in some further legislation or some sanctions or penalties if the inspections are not conducted.
Something needs to be done. There's always a consequence for everything else that goes on. Why is there no consequence for this?